Today we have our guest Marion Siboni, founder of La Crema della Stan.
Yeah.
How did this help in building foundation from what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I have 10 years of experience in sales and partnerships. I worked for companies of different sizes. I worked for Cisco.
You're in Paris, and how did you continue, and how the steps to La Crema della Stan?
So I had to completely reinvent myself here. I had experience in tech companies, as I mentioned.
But there is also today products that I developed. So that mindset has changed how I evaluate building startups.
As I mentioned, building all the foundations. My goal for the next 5 years to become the number one.
What do you think founders do? Do mistakes in fundraising, common mistakes?
Founders should focus on building, but you also have to fundraise at some point to survive. So finding the right balance between both is very important.
How do you think founders could use community to fundraise strategically to attract investment?
Yeah, so
Hello everyone. Welcome to today's podcast on Founders Decoded, episode 5. Today we have our guest Marion Siboni, who is the founder of La Crema della Stan.
yes.
And I want to know more about that. Can you talk?
Yeah, absolutely. So La Creme de la Stand is a private network for early stage female founders that are building in tech and science. I'm currently working on building all the foundations as we speak in November 2024. And I'm going to work on 3 different pillars. I'm working with investors. I have 120 VCs so far in the community that will come to the platform, do office hours, pitch deck review, pitch sessions. And I'm going to send deal flow to those VCs with the female founders that are part of the community. And the second pillar is working with exited entrepreneurs and guest speakers that can share actionable advice. So for example, I met this incredible woman that wrote a book around angel investing. She's she's an advisor for the US Security and Exchange Commission. She's the chair of the Angel Capital Association. She will definitely be one of the most exciting speakers I'm going to have. And then the last pillar is working with corporate partners that will provide perks and scales to the founders.
Is the female founder book, the angel founder book, something that was released in the starting of the year, fundraising?
Yeah,
What is the book name?
it's Do Good While Doing Well.
Oh, the
So this is a book that Marsha Darwood wrote around angel investing to encourage more people to angel invest. A lot of rules have changed over the past few years. And she also talks about the different ways of fundraising that are not classic VC. She talks around crowdfunding, revenue-based fundraising. So there are a lot of gems in her book. I highly recommend it.
Oh, I would definitely agree that.
Mhm.
I have a question. Let's go back to the start. You definitely had a successful career before starting La Crema della Stan. And how did this help in building foundation from what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I have 10 years of experience in sales and partnerships. I worked for companies of different sizes. I worked for Cisco. There's a really large company where I learned all the ins and outs of sales. I worked for AI startup as well, where I was leading partnerships at a global level, working with Microsoft. I worked for MongoDB. I worked for Techstars most recently. And what really helped me to build all the foundation for what I'm doing right now is definitely the sales and partnership experience. So because I've been through so many different companies, I've been at different stages. I've been able to really have a good understanding of what the sales process can look like and just get the best of all of those sales process. I was a lot in the roles where I had to build customer relationship from scratch. So I'm a builder at heart, so that really helped me to be creative. I have autonomy as well. Um, Try out a lot of different techniques, and that's really helpful for what I'm doing today. Like this whole business development experience, I've been really very, very useful for my journey.
No, I agree. Like sales are very crucial part of business, and uh, you'll go more into like deeper into sales, like how founders could do, as well as like how you did like from scratch, because like even founders struggle with sales strategies as well as go to market strategies a lot. And taking one more step back, you're in Paris, and how did you come to New York, and how the steps to La Prima della Stand happened?
Yeah, so I moved to New York City from Paris because my husband got a business opportunity to move here. So I had to completely reinvent myself here. I had like experience in tech companies, as I mentioned. I knew that the local ecosystem would be radically different. So I decided to open a New York City chapter for a global nonprofit supporting women in tech. And 1 month after I landed, I threw my first events. And at the time, I had no idea how big the whole community game was in New York City because we did not a thing in France. Yeah. I just completely different mindsets. And I started with just 20 women in a bar. And then the second event had 75 women joining. And then I decided to add more value to the events I was doing. So I decided to organize panels to demystify hot tech topics. So I would pick a topic, for example, AI, and I would find partners that would be willing to provide the space, and then I would pick speakers that would articulate different visions of a specific topic, also having like different angles. So I've been doing that for almost 2 years. I grew the community from 0 to 4,000 women in just a year. So I found out I wasn't community builder, not knowing what a community builder was.
Yeah.
I also work at Techstars for a year. I was director of sales and partnership there. So that really helped me to understand all the challenges that come for early stage founders. And I identify a gap of when you start building companies, a very lonely journey. There is a lot that goes into it before you first funding. And even if you fund, you manage to do like pre-seed round, it's still very, very difficult to go to those next steps. Um, and so what I'm decided to start building in June 2024 is really the combination of all my experience as a community builder, as a um, strong advocate for gender equality, and also supporting early stage entrepreneurs.
I agree with you. Like, Tom, New York City has, after coming to New York City, like I've seen more of community. When I was in San Francisco, I think community building started more after COVID, and especially like people were throwing events together, like just on based on interests. And then like I started seeing like once I moved to San Francisco, I started to see a lot of fireside chats. Went to TechCrunch. That's also one more startup company that does like Battlefield and all the competitions. But I came to know a lot of startup communities there. Hustle Fund has one of each little community. Um, and sales do play like I went into like Techstars like 2-day boot camp. At the time, like I met like so many mentors, and they were uh what they let you do is like any idea you guys come up with, work on it, and they'll do in 2 days to make it as a startup. And which was like, oh, can you do a startup in 2 days? At that point of time, even now I'm building other products, but like there is also like 2-day products that I develop. So that mindset has changed like how I evaluate like building startups.
Mhm.
Now like focusing on sales, like it is really hard because all it goes through relations. And um, as you grow more into B2B sales, like it's more relationship based, like let's say a corporate events based startup. And it's more the revenue comes from the relationship. And that's something that I've noticed. And the other generic B2C kind of, that is also very unique in sales that also we'll tap into later. I haven't seen. Um, and what are your aspirations for um, La Creme de l'Ocean for the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the immediate future, as I mentioned, building all the foundations, and I'm going to select 50 founding members to start a pyramid in January. My goal for the next 5 years to become the number one global network for female founders. So being able to support female founders from all over the world, not just the US, um, and support it throughout the entire journey. So whether it's building a company, raising funds, Series A, Series D, up to exits. That's really my ambition for the next 5 years.
I hope you'll get there. And my mom is also a founder. So I know the difficulties, like even 1990s, like when uh she was going to office, she's from suburban, like small town. And everyone was like, why are you going? Why are you going? So that was like community that was like trying to suppress. But like now the gender equality is getting better compared to uh the safety has been getting a lot better, and it needs to be a lot more like easy, I would say, but unfortunately it's hard, and I do support for you on it.
Thanks. We need allies.
Yes.
The support system I'm building with like the VCs, guest speakers, and corporate partners is made of men and women because I really believe that we all need to work on that, and it's only by working all together and collaborating that we can make a change.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's more on collaboration, and um that's how like we make change on every place. And I see a lot of like female led startups, um, even in India, just like on food or technology based. They are rising. Like uh, there is one more startup I acquired last week. It's called Emer.
Yeah.
And she's a co-founder for Immigration AI. So they help like people um who build uh who come to US but like struggle like what to do next legal cannabis. So what to do next. And I agree with you. Uh Next question, like are you familiar with Emily in Paris? And I'm curious, like how is French work style and how is US work style according to you? And
Yeah. Yeah, so what's your first season of Heavily in Paris? So I haven't seen the next ones because that's that was too cliche for me. That's the thing. Like, so the big difference is I see in the workplace between France and the US. There are a lot. So like I think the notion of time is very different in France and in the US. In France, we can be late to a meeting. Until 15 minutes doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters a little bit, but it doesn't count as being that late. When in the US, when I was working for the startup back in Paris, I was working with Microsoft at a global level, and when I was working with the US team of Microsoft, I had to apologize when I was 2 minutes late, which in France is not a thing. You don't apologize if you show up at 10:02 instead of 10. It's just the notion of time is completely different. So that's something that I'm personally more American on that side. I like to be on time. um And then the length of work is also very different. I think in France, when I used to work in Paris, I would work between 9 and 7:30 p.m. every single day. There was like normal days for me. I was not overworking. So some days I could leave work a little bit earlier, around like 7, if I had like a dinner or if I was going to like a podcast or something. But that was really, really rare. Um, and every time I say that to people here, they're surprised because they have this idea that French don't work and French are just spending always being on holidays and taking extra hour for lunch breaks and so on. We do take time for lunch break, and I still take time even in the US for lunch break, 1 hour, because I also need to turn my brain off for an hour so I can be then more productive in the afternoon. But 2 or 3 hour lunch break in France, maybe when it's like Christmas time and this is Christmas lunches or business lunches are also pretty big in France. So I would have like business lunch that would be 2 hours. So you do two in one. You connect with your customer, you go through a lot of different things, but still like a business lunch. Even if you take 2 hours, it's still kind of okay.
I think here business lunches are longer, like 90 minutes or something.
Okay.
Um, I agree with the um, time sense here. So when I first came to US, like I was meeting, like I'm generally punctual. Like if you say at 10 o'clock, I'll be 5 minutes earlier
Okay.
to check in, like wait for the people to come in and all. Um, but one of my friend, he was like, let's grab pizza. And uh, he followed Indian time. So, which is like, he came like 30 minutes, 45 minutes late, someone else. I was like, that's not acceptable.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's okay. Like, his close friend. So like, I excuse. So yeah, uh, let's go on to the next session on founders and uh, community building. How did you experience the roles that you influence, like um, understanding for founders that are in need? Like, how do you find your founders that are in need most?
Yeah, so I think every female founder is, and most female founders are looking for a community, looking for support. Um, what I've seen is with extremely early stage female founders that I'm talking about, female founders that are at the idea standpoint where they're just getting started. They don't feel like they need help. But then when I reconnect with them like a few months later, they're like, okay, actually, I understand why you're building it. And I understand that I want to now connect with female founders that are going through the same journey because being a founder can be very lonely. And the founders I meet, some have founders, some don't. And yeah, I feel like the maturity around needing a support system also evolves around that. Um, and I think that's something I really praise for. Like you can't go build something on your own. I mean, even if you have the vision, if you are the one with the idea, you will need a support system because it's just you gain so much time by tapping into your network and just asking for people that can help you. So in my own example, when I started to build like from the last time, I didn't know what legal structure to find because I was not familiar with the different legal structures. I don't have a legal background in the US. I've been here just for 2 years, so I was not familiar with the different structure. So instead of like trying to find out on my own or problem calls with like multiple lawyers, I just tapped it in my network. And I met a lawyer that was that became a friend, and so we what during like networking event we talk about like friends for 45 minutes, and that's how we connected. And then we stayed in touch, tried to do business together. Didn't necessarily work out with the previous company I was working for, but then we kept in touch. And so when I built my company, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I would love to have you support and just understand what I need to do from a legal standpoint." And I grabbed coffee with him, just an hour, and then he offered to do pro bono consulting for me. And that's how I decided to build a public benefit corporation. There's a C corporation, which is better to raise funds when you are looking to be VC backed at some point. And yeah, and so that was like super helpful because I gained so much time.
Yeah.
I didn't need to like go to Google or LinkedIn and talk to a bunch of opportunities, not knowing who would be a good fit.
Yeah. No, I do. Like asking help is main key thing. Uh, I'm an early stage founder as well. Like initially, like, oh, I don't need anything. I don't need anything. But there are people that who wants to help you for
Yeah.
because they're good.
Yeah.
Uh, they want to just like connect people, help whatever they can, solve their. And I like genuine people. And if someone comes to me, like I do like that, like if someone asks me, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Like, I'll definitely do if I can do it. If not, like I can point to someone, like ask them, like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Like introduce like them and um. But I think like asking for help, like recognizing that you need help,
Yeah.
and the more you do it quickly, it would be done quickly. Like it's like easy. There's nothing wrong in asking help. That's what I felt like at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to your point of asking for help, you also have to be precise in the kind of help you need. And that's also something I really recommend. And I talk a lot already. Networking is be clear on what you ask for. Just be like, hey, can you help me with my business? It's too wide. Like people are not gonna know. But saying like I'm looking to talk to someone that is in that industry with that role.
Yeah.
Can you do an introduction for me? That's just more helpful. And for people that don't have an immediate answer, then they can just like think about it and then come back to you later.
My role of like when going to customers or like that, that's like I figured out my own formula. Like I give my intro, then I ask, I think this might be useful, but I'm looking for feedback. So then I ask, what is the biggest issue you have? That's where I have the connection because like I made sure I tap into that. Um, in networking events, like your strategy differs, but I think like it's more understanding what you need, like being precise, like, yeah, hey, I need fundraising help. Can you do that? If not, also it's okay. Like, nothing wrong or anything good. Like, I'm looking for this in future. Like, if you need anything, let me know. And
No, like hard.
so that's what like that's my approach. I would say. Oh, going to your strengths and advantages. Oh, yes, sales. Sales and marketing. Uh, people network like various reasons, like want to find customers, to find a team, fundraise. Um, tell me a story like where you went with a motive and you got that. I think that we covered in the how you had the pro bono.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to give another example.
Yeah.
I think I've it's hard to choose because I meet so many different people. Um, I think what is really useful for me when I book a networking event is I don't have any specific uh thing in mind, if that makes sense. Like I'm really exploring and like open minded. So for example, I went to a Notion event that was hosted in Fabric to third space I'm part of. And I was like, I don't know Notion. I don't know how to use it. I just wanted to find someone that could help me figure that tool out. And they had like a stand-up meeting at the beginning where we had to pick a mission that we were working on during the day, and then we convened at the end of the day to make progress. And at the time, I was still working on launching my newsletter, so I said, okay, I wanna work on launching my newsletter. And during the roundtable that we did, there was this older woman that just moved recently from Spain to the US, and she has a newsletter that's very successful in Spain. And she came to me and she was like, "Hey, I'm willing to help you. Like, let me show you how I'm structuring my newsletter. And that was just so helpful. And it was like 30 minutes. We had a great connection. She's a close friend. And she really helped me to think about how I wanted to structure my newsletter, the type of content I wanted to put in, the main topics I was going to discuss on, having a structure. And that just saved me so much time. Like, because I've been struggling to write that newsletter for like weeks before that event. And then just, you know, brainstorming with myself, like looking on Google, so on. And then in just like a single conversation of 30 minutes, because she has the experience and she was willing to help me, it was just like I had that structure just done. So the power of the network is um, you're so crazy.
I agree with you. There is one story like, I did not know about Notion templates, like how can you make fish tag.
Yeah.
That's like looking good, but at the same time, like I was not working much on graphic designers or stuff like that. So like Notion has some templates, then like I use AI to make my own like pitch deck, like logos and all that to create like my pitch deck. And this was done like through the last podcast interview. She was like, "Hey, I know this." That happened. Like I met that person just on coming out of networking event. I was like tying my shoelace and like, okay, this is the last person who's gonna meet. I think, see, and that's the story. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Um. Next to, let's say you go to networking event, but how do you make a good first impression, and how do you make sure you're getting fruitful, like what you want to have, like
Yeah. So I think that when you come to a networking event, you have to stay open because you never know who you're gonna meet and you never know where the conversation is gonna go. So I think being like you're an exploring mindset, I think open-minded and not have like a specific um goal in mind is definitely my number one advice. Um, you know, then I would prepare a pitch about like a 60-second elevator pitch about who I am, why I'm here, achievements I'm proud of,
yeah,
and one request. So it can sound a little bit contradictory with what I just said, but it just helps to guide the conversation. To have that because when you go to networking events, you meet so many people. It's important to have that 60-second pitch about who you are and yeah, all your achievements and what you're proud of because gonna give that's gonna show you value immediately to people you're talking to, and then they're gonna be hooked and they're gonna be more willing to talk to you. And then having like saying like I'm coming to this event because I wanna get feedback on my product or I wanna get a better understanding of this industry, for example. Having a specific request is very helpful, but then it's important to stay open-minded because you don't know where the conversation is going to go. And connecting on personal matters is always something I also recommend because people are more likely to remember you for the disconnection they had about like a fun story that you told them or a recommendation of a new restaurant that open or your next holidays.
yeah,
Rather than this is a job I do and this is what I am for. So that's like a good starting point, but then be ready to open the conversations to go wherever.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Like the more personal you get, I think it's also an art. Like
Yeah.
to get personal in the first 60 seconds. Um, my my technique is like if some group is like talking something personal, I will ask like, "Hey, what you guys talking about?" And like if it's football, they'll be like, "Oh, this is this. What do you think of like this game?" Or who do you support? And that's where I take, and then later I'll ask like what they do to add them.
Yeah. Also when you see a group of of people just like introducing yourself and you're just like bumping into that group and be like, hi, my name is, and then in all networking events, people will like open a circle for you and let you in. And sometimes it happens that it doesn't work that way and you're just interrupting your conversation and it's okay. And then you just like move to the next group or to the next person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like if it is uninterrupted, like
I mean, can go both ways. So you have to try and see what
you have to try. Sometimes like the group can be closed or open as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Next to the sales part,
Yeah.
so let's say like founders often like early stage founders, they will be like the first salespeople. And for founders, when they're building the product, how do you think they need to approach the sales?
Yeah. So I think that there are two things. The first thing is when you start building a company, it's coming from a passion and you have a story behind it. So definitely leverage that story because when people talk with passion, they are more engaged and they're more, the conversation will just flow more easily if they talk about the why is behind the reason why they started a company. So that's my first approach. And then my second advice is take it as a conversation and take it as a conversation based on I'm willing to put like feedback rather than I'm trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Because the customers or prospects that you're talking to are going to be more open minded if you do that. Um rather than
Selling them.
yeah, rather than pitching them. And when you start, you don't know what your pitch is going to look like. So you don't know what your pitch is going to be, and you don't know what's going to resonate with the customers. So I think taking as a conversation around feedback is a really good approach.
Do you think like asking their biggest issue and that could, I don't know, like saying like, hey, what is your biggest issue? Like as a this person could help them resonate quicker
I think it really depends.
on the customer.
Yeah, it depends on the customer. I think more valuing the customer is better. Like I would approach it as like, okay, you are an expert in that field, and I'm building a company that is in that field. Can I talk to you regarding your expertise, and can I have your expert eye giving me feedback?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good approach because then you value that person
Yeah.
and you value that person for what they're good at, and then you can like take a lot of knowledge out of their own expertise.
I agree. Interesting. That is different way that I went through. But I see like the connection that could go in a valuable way this way as well.
Yeah.
Like following up with this and like later on, like instead of selling the product directly, ask them.
Yeah, that's really the advice I always give to founders that talk to customers. That there is no other way to know if it's gonna work. You have to talk to your customers constantly.
Yep. Next to like rejections and sales, like once you did like go to customer, let's share what you're building, but most of the times you get rejected as your early stage. And how do you handle that rejection? I've been rejected many times, but like, how do you handle like what is the advice do you have for a rejection?
Well, resilience is a quality that founders must have because you're gonna be rejected for a lot of things. First, stop building. So I think putting into perspective and just take it as part of the journey, like failures or part of the journey, and take me more as lesson learned rather than failures. And then reflect on what didn't work and ask for feedback. Like postmortem feedback is very important. When if you have like a potential customer is willing to give you feedback, if you can like start building connection with that person and be like, okay, I know you don't want to buy my product, but I would really need, I would love to have your support if you're willing to help me. Just give me feedback and just put that person in a different role than in an buyer rather than like an advisor. Um, I think that's really important to reflect on what didn't go well. And ask for feedback all the time.
Okay. I think like asking feedback definitely to help. Why are you rejecting? Why do you think it's not going to be useful for you? Or then you understand like, oh, this is the people that I don't need to target, or this is the people I need to target.
Yeah, exactly.
And you fish like it's good. If it goes wrong way, like asking feedback definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah. And finding like champions,
Yeah.
like finding people that are, yeah, open to support you, that believe in you, open if your product might not be ready, and it's okay because products evolve constantly. Finding this kind of people can be really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. That advice was helpful. So how are you doing that differently um, during your work in all the companies like Cisco, MongoDB, to what Premadella's time?
Yeah. In terms of sales.
Yeah.
So, well, I always had the same approach as building credibility. I think that's the number one thing I will always be focusing on is how do I build credibility with customers or prospects or partners, to show them that I'm someone that they can rely on and someone that can bring them knowledge. I'm someone they can tap into when they need my help. Um, so that's really what I've been focusing on, building credibility. Because when I started to work, I was 22, so talking to people that have 20 or 25 years of experience in the IT industry is not easy.
Yeah.
And I was really focusing on, okay, I might not have the answer, but I can bring an engineer. I'm not an engineer. I was a salesperson, but I have connections in the company, obviously, to tap into the best engineers, and I can bring you the best engineers. But I need your help building a case for me so I can go to my team internally and ask to have the best engineer. So I would like onboard those customers as part of a team.
Yeah.
And again, listening to their feedback, like really listening to them, understanding what their issue was, communicating with them very openly. I had an issue with a customer that was ordering data centers when I was working at Cisco, and the logistics were not working well. The supply chain got delayed by like months, and it was a very urgent project for them. So that's put me in a bad situation because I sold them something that then I couldn't deliver.
Yeah.
But that was not due to me. It was just due to like a lot of external factors. And then it put him in the bad position with his manager because he chose Cisco over another provider. So what I did during that crisis was being extremely open with him. So every week I would I would send him an email, and I would be like, okay, here's the status, here's the feedback I have internally,
Yeah.
here are the actions I'm taking. And then every time I would get a feedback, I would let him know. But I would keep him in the loop even if I didn't have any information, just to be like, I'm on top of it. I know it's important. I know we promised something that we're not able to deliver, but I'm doing everything I can to support that project and to accelerate the delivery. So keeping like an open communication. Of course, he was extremely unhappy. I was also extremely unhappy. And I also shared that with him. And I was like, look, I'm frustrated as well because I told you something and I checked internally and I was told something and I have a different feedback, and this is not good. This is not the kind of service I want to provide you. So keeping like the line of communication open was really, really useful, and to share, and be empathetic, with him, and be like, yeah, this sucks, and I'm really frustrated as well, and sharing that. I don't think he expected that when I was on the phone with him, and like that sucks. I was like, yes, I absolutely agree with you. What took place sucks.
Yeah.
And just being in these shoes, and that I can do everything again, and hear all the action that's taken.
No, I agree. Like, you being very empathic to the person, like keeping up, saying like open conversation. That do help. Like, I do handle like ton of clients, like 20 clients every day, and the first thing in the morning is like if someone responds for a question or an answer, I'll be like, on top of it. And then I go to the next, and some people are impressed as well because
Yeah.
panels are feeling. And you have to be keeping an open communication. You have to organize it really well
Yeah.
so that like your mess is not too complex,
Yeah. Yeah.
and making like actions with engineer like, hey, I know this is going on in our life. Is there anything that could ease you to like that would sometimes help? Like you build a relationship with engineer as well as the customer. It's not one person if you see that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Um, next to you want to take up recording.
Yeah. Can you? I'm sorry.
Not the water.
That was what? Yeah. Just how much longer? So like.
Yeah, well, I think 20 beats. And so next to fundraising, this is a lot harder for so many early stage founders. So one, I would ask, building investor relationships. It is really hard because like wherever you go to networking, uh, it's hard to connect with investors, like VCs and all. What is your perspective like on building good relationships with VCs on a longer term, or like what could be the strategy for early stage founders when they're doing fundraising?
Yeah. So being very clear around the type of investor that you're targeting is very important. I personally do not believe in mass emailing to like a bunch of investors. Like, hey, target like 50. I would rather target like 5 or 10 and uh, be very mindful of what they invest in. So study the investment thesis. How early do they invest? Are they a lead investor? What industry do they invest? And make sure that your product of while you're building your company really falls into all the criteria, because otherwise everyone's losing their time. So taking the time as a founder to do the research and really understand that is key. Um, then I would try to connect again on personal matters. So maybe this investor went to the same school that you, or maybe you know someone that went to the same school and they can provide a warm introductions. So really try to tap into your network and understand who is connecting to that person, how well do they know them, what do they need from you to provide a warm introductions, warm introduction. And then following up, like I talk to founders that are like, yeah, I sent a lot of emails and no one answered. Unfortunately, we all get ton of emails uh, every day on many different channels, whether it's, email, but also like LinkedIn and Twitter and so on. So following up is very, very important, and following up many times, and not following up with like something that has an impact. Like, oh, I'm going to that event and I see it's a VC founder event. Are you also attending? And send them the link and not just assume that they know what you're talking about. Like constantly remind who you are and what you're building is not the best strategy. It's really about what value can you bring. Like, did something exciting happen to you? Like, did you got featured in a podcast?
Yeah.
Did you start a podcast? Did you do like a new version of your website? Like, there's a lot of things that you can share.
Yeah.
That are not just like, hey, I sent you that email. Did you see it? It's like you have to follow up with an added value to make sure that they're gonna connect with you.
Like I've seen like recently some founders started their own newsletters so that like VCs recruit. So keep on observing.
Yeah.
But when they come on like closer level, like I've seen like one person in TikTok, they develop their base like she posts like saying like this is what I'm doing today, and this is like end of the day again. She posts in TikTok saying, hey, these are the things we achieved, these are the challenges we had, and like a 30-second video, like a daily blog. Um, that felt very interesting at the same time, and keeping on following up. But at the same time, let's say you have a targeted VC that you want to target, and you don't know anyone who could introduce to them. How do you do?
Yeah, I would do research on that VC. So I would do research on, do I want to talk to a specific person, or do I want to talk to an employee that is part of that VC? That's two different things. Um, I would look on LinkedIn, obviously. Like LinkedIn is a great tool. I'm using LinkedIn a lot to approach people. And approaching people just doesn't mean connecting on LinkedIn. It can also be like liking the post or commenting in the post, but adding value, like not be like, oh yeah, this is so cool. And that's what I do, by the way, let's connect. It's like you have to be kind of creative in your approach and make sure that, again, you show the value and you give a reason why that investor would connect with you and not someone else. On Twitter is also like a good place for a lot of VCs on Twitter.
Yeah. I feel it is a little harder on Twitter to connect with VCs compared to LinkedIn. Um, because like I get introductions quickly. But Twitter, you have to follow their content or like ask them some wacky question that is not relating to. So, yeah, I agree. Like, I've seen a lot of people like conducting like just like fundraising talks in Twitter and newsrooms. That is also wealthy.
Yeah. And I think just trying a lot of different things and see what works.
I agree with you. Everyone has to create their own formula.
Yeah. There's no magic formula.
Yeah, yeah. You just have to keep on swimming.
Exactly. Keep on the work.
I would say like I would be like saying to myself, "You're just starting a low ship. Don't. There is no going back because like." The amount you cooked and resources you kept in, you don't want to lose them. And the only way is to pivot or moving forward. Like, it's not changing destination. You're basically like swimming to the nearest land that you could find to survive. Yeah. And next question, like, what do you think like founders do? Like, do mistakes in fundraising, common mistakes.
Yeah. Um, well, I touched on that, but yeah, I think that targeting the wrong VCs it's not ideal. Or even expending too much time fundraising. Like I mean, this is a tough question. It's because I really believe that founders should focus on building, but you also have to fundraise at some point to survive. So finding the right balance between both is very important. You have to keep building, so you have to show your work. And like at the end of the day, it's easier to be an investor if you already have customers.
Yeah.
And if you're already selling something, even if it's an MVP,
Yeah.
and proving that you have something that works, rather than needing the money to build something. So it's like how scrappy can you get and to build an MVP and to build something that works, even if you don't have the funds right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. In addition to that, like I see that it's more than a full-time job doing because like you'll be one person or two people team building your company and you're constantly doing like a 60-hour unless you're not passionate you wouldn't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
Um I see that mistake.
yeah. And the same can be told around, being on social media, like how important it is to be on social media versus, showcasing what you're doing and putting work in marketing rather than building. It's like again, there is no magic formula. You have to be able to try everything.
How do you think like founders could uh use community to fundraise like strategically to attract investment or showcase traction?
Yeah, so I think there are different ways. One, you can build a community, and you can start building your own thing to value yourself as a founder, like what you're doing with this podcast, for example. Um, and you can also, like, I see a few founders doing that, like they want to position themselves as a thought leader in a specific industry. So they would throw events around healthcare, for example, or women in health. And they would start that community to attract an ecosystem around that industry and position themselves as a thought leader. And then that will automatically attract VC. It's great if you know how to do it and if you are willing to put in the work. Building community is not for everyone. A lot of people can find it exhausting. I personally love building communities, so I get like a lot of energy when I do that. And it doesn't take me too long because I'm very creative and have like um, a good angle I take every time I build relationship. Um, and I build relationship very, very quickly. But it's not for everyone. So that can be an approach. Another approach is to be part of the community and be with other founders that are like you. For what I'm doing, it's early stage female founders in tech and science. So you can talk about your expertise, you can talk about your experience, you can share your thoughts, you can get advice from other founders that are going through it. And you can also, yeah, just share the thing because sometimes that's all you need. You need a space where you can just complain and be vulnerable. And I think that's very, very important because by talking and brainstorming about your approach, you can also get feedback, and you can also even have like other female founders that will be supported and be like, oh, I talked to that founder, or I saw that investor is not a fit for me because I'm too early, but maybe you can talk to that person. Like I see founders doing that a lot, like providing introductions for other founders, and you bring value. Like people are gonna remember you without that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is when, like, when founders bring in like other founders, even though let's say like some VC that is not fit for you or fit for you, but at the same time like some it is gonna be fit for someone else. Like
Yeah.
bringing that to help the founder as well as like not all founders again can build communities because like founding is one journey and community building also is another journey. And again, like your client, if this focuses on both on the same topic, you could build and get into a fruitful way. But if it falls in other topic, you have to be a part of community.
Yeah.
And last few questions. Circling back your LP for Pershing Just Capital, how did um you became a senior partner in Pershing Just Capital?
Yeah, so I'm a limited partner, which means I'm an investor in the fund. The fund is led by Erica Rediger, that is a great community builder, and her whole investment thesis is around community-led entrepreneurs. So she wrote an essay called "Elephants Not Unicorns," where she explains why she is investing in elephants, what she calls elephants company, or companies that have members or that have customers that are very community driven and also have like a thick skin, and they can resist crisis better than unicorns that have been going through crazy fundraisers. Um, so actually, she reached out to me on Twitter. So Twitter is definitely a good tool. And she was looking for LPs that were community driven, and she saw that I way to build the community, and she saw that was also at the time working at Techstars as director of sales and partnerships. So that's how she reached out to me. And the reason why I've answered is because I knew her by reputation. I knew she was very active in the VC ecosystem. I knew she was very active and very exposed to early stage founders, which is what you want when you join a fund, because you want to make sure that the general partner is going to select the best startups and they're going to have like the best deal flow. So that's really what convinced me to join. Like the investment thesis really resonated with me. Her reputation was preceding her, so that's why I said yes almost immediately.
No, because I see like why community based startups would be more resilient because you're building a lot of more not get as critiquing the word, but like more um loyal customers.
Yes, more close. Yes.
And when the community is able to talk, like the goal of my startup is like building able to businesses to talk with each other so that like if tap to party could solve it, they could solve. And if tap to party cannot, someone nearby community can solve it. Like there was like farm equipment issue last week, and I cannot provide farm equipment, but someone in Ithaca said like, hey, I know like you're preparing for snow season. I have like equipment you could borrow this time. So that was like I did not know that it was needed, but looking at like how they're helping each other, having like instead of having like direct contact relationships with customers all the time, um, we started building like town halls.
Mm-hmm.
So like town hall, like it's like Thursday meetings that we do, and in that meetings we talk with all the customers. That is also like a good community based, I would say, and how you feel like they will be more resilient because they will keep on helping each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it also comes from like suburban and like countryside mindset because like everyone knows each other, they will help each other.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And um next final question, like after AI based startups, what do you think like the upcoming wave? Like recently, like all the startups that are AI this, AI that, yes. What do you think like next upcoming wave or trend of startups that would be having?
I think there is a lot of things happening in healthcare. I think healthcare is definitely the field where I see a lot of activity. Climate tech is also, I think we all see it like, it's November, and it's free New York City, and then or even t-shirts. The image is crazy. So I think that climate tech is also something where we will see more and more interest. And then finally, EdTech. Um, there are so many informations available online. A lot of people, don't have the means to go to to school or to university. There's like a lot of online classes. Um, we see that a lot around like financial education, financial literacy, like companies like Elvest, got a lot of traction, are very successful. Um, so I think tech is definitely something that I'm pretty bullish on for the future.
Interesting. I do feel like tech and healthcare are I'm seeing more common, and I'm seeing other AI related or more immigration related because of a lot of things. And in addition to that, what I'm seeing, robotics related.
Robotics, yeah.
There are very few people that are doing, but at the same time, like because it requires huge investments,
Yeah.
so it's hard to put together a team that could do because like the teams are dispersed. And now like the big companies are moving ahead. Now you have to you're you were in a perfect spot if you could target a domain. Like last week I've seen um that helps already people to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's a very huge robot. So I think like it has to get more
Yeah.
advanced
Yeah.
to help that. But it's a very good idea. And I would see that as a potentially like because we have knee problems, injury, like me, once you hit certain age, it's hard to walk at normal pace, and this is gonna help you. And both mixture of robotics to personal use, I'd say that would be before. And what is your final message for listeners and all?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. That was a really great conversation. We talked a lot. We talked on a lot of different things. Um, well, to circle back on what I'm doing with La Creme de la STEM, I'm currently selecting 50 founding members, that are early stage female founders building in tech and science that understand the power of the network. We talked a lot about that. So if anyone is watching the podcast and wants to reach out to me, uh, let me know. I will have this community be launched in January 2025. And my goal then is to grow and scale. So yeah.
Thank you for having uh doing this episode today with us, and I hope the best for La Creme.
Let me going to the step.
Sometimes it's hard for me to pronounce. I'm not French.
It's
Excuse
okay. It's okay.
La Creme de la STEM. Okay, let me do it again. Thank you for joining us on the uh podcast. Please do reach out to her. She's very responsive immediately in LinkedIn or Twitter. And
LinkedIn is the best.
okay, LinkedIn is the best. And I hope the very best for La Creme de la STEM. It's so hard, but I'm getting there. 20 more to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, guys. Signing off.